After they ran from the house that morning, Mark and Lila swore they'd never return. They didn't even stop for breakfast, just drove, both staring at the road, hearts still pounding. But the drive home felt wrong. The air seemed heavier, the radio kept cutting out, and neither could shake the feeling they were still being watched. Lila gripped her seatbelt, staring out the window. You saw the notebook, Mark. It wasn't just creepy, it had dates, names, and some of them. She swallowed hard. Some were crossed out. Mark's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, and you heard the knocks. 3. Always 3. By the time they reached the edge of town, the thought of leaving it unsolved was unbearable. It wasn't bravery more, like a sick pull, a hook they couldn't escape. Almost in unison, they said it. What if we just go back? The words hung in the car like smoke. It sounded insane, but curiosity is dangerous. They told themselves it would be quick. In and out, just to look, just to know. The sun was starting to sink when they pulled into the driveway again. The cabin looked exactly the same, quiet, still, and almost inviting, as if it knew they'd return. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the air was stale. Dust motes drifted in the fading light. Everything was where they'd left it, except for one thing. The couch. It was no longer over the hatch. Mark froze. Did we move it back before we left? No, Lila whispered. The hatch sat in the middle of the floor, lid closed. Waiting, Mark took a deep breath. We open it, we look, we leave. Deal? Lila nodded reluctantly, clutching the notebook like it might protect her. The metal latch was icy cold as Mark unhooked it. The hinges groaned when he lifted the hatch. A wave of cold, damp air rolled up from the darkness, smelling of earth and mildew. His flashlight beam cut through the blackness, catching on a narrow wooden ladder leading down. Step by step, they climbed into the basement. The air grew heavier, colder. The floor was packed dirt, the walls rough stone, and spiderwebs brushed their faces. At the far end was a small wooden door, no more than 4 feet high, old, warped, and secured with a single rusty latch. They stared at it in silence. Then it came, slow, uneven breathing. From behind the door, Mark's hand shook as he stepped closer. The breathing stopped, then knock, knock, knock. Lila's grip tightened on his arm. We're going back up now. But before they could move, a voice whispered Mark's name. It didn't come from the door. It came from behind them. They spun around. The flashlight flickered, then flared just long enough for them to see it. A figure stood in the corner, too tall, too thin, too still to be human. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side, as though it was studying them. The light went out. The whispering began again, this time overlapping, as if dozens of voices surrounded them, all speaking in frantic, hushed tones. Mark grabbed Lila's wrist. Climb now. They scrambled up the ladder, the voices growing louder, closer. A sharp scrape echoed up from below, like nails dragging across wood. They slammed the hatch shut, shoved the couch back over it, and bolted for the door. Outside, the air was freezing, though the night was mild. Mark didn't start the car right away. He just sat there, breathing hard, staring at the cabin. Lila turned to him, voice trembling. Did you see its eyes? Mark shook his head quickly. No, and I don't want to. They drove away fast, headlights cutting through the dark, neither speaking for miles. 3 days later, Lila checked the Airbnb listing out of morbid curiosity. It was back online, same photos, same glowing reviews. Except for one new comment. Loved the place. Cozy, quiet, but please tell the man in the basement to stop whispering my name at night. Lila slammed her laptop shut. The next morning, she found the notebook sitting on her kitchen counter. She hadn't brought it home. Want to see what happens next? Drop a comment for part 3. Tap that follow button, and stay tuned.